specific, and her way of standing, especially or even when you see her from behind, the way her feet kind of angle out. And I was more aware of it on this viewing of the film because at the very end, before she goes out to conduct the monster orchestra, she does her right? Am I right? She does this very sharp intake of breath. And it's as if she's cueing herself and also the audience that she is bringing full game to the monster orchestra.
You mean
no?
stepping onto the podium?
Before she walks out, I think she's in a hallway, and then she walks out onto the podium and starts to conduct them.
Yeah. I mean, it's very tricky. I know this from years on the stage, is that it's so, I don't want to sound too kind of wanky about it, but at its best, there's a shamanism that happens between the audience and what goes on stage. And a play is nothing. I'm not Grotowski, I'm not interested in Grotowski, you know, this thing happening in a hermetically sealed environment. It doesn't mean a thing before the audience is part of it. And so when you step out, you don't know what's going to happen that night. But you're acutely aware of the fact that you know, the person in row G, seat 17, has just opened a mint. Okay, never mind, we're going to, and then mobile phone light has gone on in the stalls over there. Okay, that's going to distract several people, and you know you've got to bring people in. Like, you know, you're acutely aware of all that. I don't know where this is heading. You asked me a question.
If you developed these kind of like little signature movements of her sharp intake of breath.
So you can develop a superstition around it, and I think that can overwhelm you. But I think Tar is full of superstitions, and Todd had written this amazing paragraph at the beginning of the screenplay, which of course he wanted to jettison. That the first time you find her, she's full of, you know, superstitions and tics that she has to move through before she can simply face an audience. And I think that's the thing that an audience doesn't see. They think about performers as being supremely confident channels, and that performers are riddled with doubt. And that the supreme act of bravery is coming out and channeling the thing through them, not for themselves, but for you guys. I'm doing it for you guys, it's all for you. Doing me and my family. You know, I really don't get anything out of it at all. But you know what I mean? Like it is, and so you think every night, it's not going to happen tonight. And particularly in the classical music world, and that was the amazing thing about working with the Dresden Orchestra, standing up and conducting, and they hadn't, and because of the pandemic, they hadn't played the big works. Like, they were back together playing Mahler with us for this film. It was amazing, and I gave the downbeat, and they were out of sync. And I was so blessed that they were out of sync, because they all laughed, and I all laughed, and I said, we've got to make this thing together. Is you make the thing together. And sometimes it may not lift off, but that's the exciting, dangerous thing that we all have to risk, is it may not lift off. And I think that's the thing that people forget, is there's not some certainty that we know how to do this. Every single time you go on set, every single time you step on stage, every time you step on the podium in front of an orchestra, it may be okay, because of course, all of those, orchestral players are at the top of their game, but it may not be the best they can do. And so I think that's where the superstition lies, and that's where the tics and the insecurities and the doubts reside.
Was it fun to conduct an orchestra?
Fun?
I mean, emotion. Or was it always, or to play a conductor, did you ever kind of, I don't know, were you ever released into it, or were you constantly aware of counting and not wanting to?
Well, Todd has this really beguiling thing that he does, where I said to him, Todd, I'm really slow, so if we could spend the first week of me, you know, just doing long shots, wide shots, where I walk past the camera, waving at people. I don't have to speak for a couple of weeks. That'd be great. And he said, yeah, absolutely, of course. And then a week before we started shooting, he said, here's the thing. And so whenever he says, here's the thing, I know that he's got some bad news. But here's the thing. We have to do all the conducting first. And so we had to step in Nina, you know, who obviously had to learn to play that incredibly difficult parts of Mahler, and you know, and Sophie Krauer is obviously an amazing cellist, but had never played with an orchestra as big as the Dresden Orchestra. We had to jump in. But in the end, it's a blessing, because I had to plant myself on that podium and speaking to a lot of conductors, a lot of female conductors, who are absolutely at the top of their game. When they step on the podium, 70% is a political act. And they have to spend 70% of their energy pushing aside the fact that they're female, simply so they can be musicians. And I was an actress, so I was like, boop, boop. So it was like I had to spend 99% of my energy saying, I'm rehearsing here with you guys. You're not actors, I'm not a conductor, but we have to make music together. And we found our way, and we were so blessed to work with them. And actually, ultimately, I mean, every conductor has this is, obviously you've seen the film, so it's not a film about conducting, it's so much more than that, but it's finding her physical language through the thing that she does was incredibly helpful.
I think she's really a character.